friends, and welcome back to my channel. Today, as you can see by like the thumbnail and the title, I am going to be going over my 2023 houseplanty resolutions, my goals for 2023 when it comes to my plant collection, and seeing how well I did, judging myself based off of what I thought I could do a year ago. Before we get into the judgment, I want to say if you're new here and you don't know me already, hi, my name is Emma and I make houseplanty content all over the internet. So if you want to follow along with my houseplanty journey and maybe learn something along the way, stick around, watch some more of my videos, and subscribe to my channel. If you're not new here, thanks for coming back. I hope you enjoy this video as well, and I totally gave you permission to judge me too, because why not? So I've got my laptop here with the video pulled up so we can watch it together, and a cup of tea, because who doesn't want tea, and we can get into this and see how well I did or didn't do on my 2023 resolutions. So let's go. Hello friends, and welcome back to my channel. Oh my goodness, it is the freaking new year. I am going to be potting up some propagations. New year, new substrate for these plants. Get them going so I can see how far they go in a year. I don't know if I have any of these plants anymore. I definitely don't have the Brogée. That did not do well. It got flat mites. The Anthurium Silver Blush, I think I gave to a friend in a trade. The Lepispium, that one got thrips and died. It wasn't my big one that got thrips and I threw away, but that one got thrips and died. And then I have some Silver and Pothos here, which could be the one I have in my room, or I could have given it away on trade. These plants didn't get through the year, unfortunately. That does make me sad. Well, one of them did. It's just not living in my home. And I feel like the Silver And's still alive. So I needed something to do in the video. So I was potting up props, which maybe I'll pot up some more props in my 2024 New Year's resolutions, which I think I'm going to be doing in the new year. So maybe I'll pot up some more props then, and we can see if we do better next year with those. That wasn't part of my resolutions, but just a judgment on my abilities. Like, I swear I'm better at plants than this, but alas, I had a bit of a rough year with my plants, so I'm giving myself grace. This first resolution probably doesn't come as a surprise to anyone. It is just to continue being mindful about my plant spending. Being mindful of plant spending. That is a good first goal. Good job thinking about that, Emma. Let's hear a bit more about why I want to be doing this. I suppose I could try and go on a plant ban again, but obviously that didn't work last year. I tried. Smart. It didn't work the year before, so why would it work now? Good job, Past Emma, for figuring that out and knowing yourself enough to be aware that that's not a reasonable, attainable goal. My goal was to try and go all year without buying plants, just doing trades, and obviously that didn't happen, which is fine. If you want to go watch my plant spending video, I will link it in the clickable eye. So that's a fun one. You can see how much I spent on plants in 2022. You can do that this year too. I highly recommend, if you haven't, go watch my plant and plant equipment spending video. I joined them together this year because I figure let's talk about the hobby as a whole. So go watch that. I highly recommend it. I think I've decided that at this point in everything that I don't think it really makes sense to try and not buy any plants, because, like, one, this is my job, and two, I love plants, and even though I know I'm addicted to buying plants, I've accepted that, and I think as long as I am mindful about my plant buying, I think that that is a fair thing. I kind of want to say that I am not addicted to buying plants anymore. I do enjoy it. I do like getting new plants, but I wouldn't say it is as much of an addiction or compulsion as it used to be. I don't just like buy plants when I'm upset as a coping mechanism. I don't believe I did that at all this year, actually. I think I have been generally a lot more mindful about my spending. And if you have seen my what I spent in 2023 video, you'll know that I definitely spent a good chunk less in 2023 than I did in 2022. So I feel like I'm definitely on the right track in terms of mindfulness. And I tried to only buy plants for videos. So I was only buying plants for work, given I get to buy plants for my job, but making haul videos is fun and I know y'all really like them, and so I don't think it'd be reasonable to ask me to stop doing that. And I did mention that in this. I feel like I have just done quite a good job this year of being mindful of my plant spending and not going overboard with it and not just buying plants for the sake of it. Like actually thinking about what I'm buying before I buy it and trying to only get things that I know will fit into a spot, like I know where I want it to go. I definitely don't think I succeeded on that fully. I know I bought plants where I wasn't sure where they were gonna go, but in general I tried not to buy anything unless I had the space for it, and I was generally more mindful about it, which is great. And I suppose I could set myself budgets for stuff. I am still going to be on my plant ban, my like full plant ban. That didn't work. Through January and February into March. Definitely bought plants in January, but that was for a special reason. And I'm not going to go into details on that, but I didn't then after that buy plants until March. So I think I did pretty good at my plant ban. I wasn't perfect, but I don't think anyone is perfect. I am going to try better this next year to actually follow through with my plant ban. Hopefully. I have to focus on the collection that I've got. That's more important than buying plants at the minute. And even though I have like baskets in various shops online and whatever, I've been really good about not clicking the buy now button. Even through all the Boxing Day sales, oh my god, there were so many good deals. But I worked really, really hard to not get anything. I am even better than this now. I don't even have like baskets full in different online plant shops. I really avoid looking at online plant shops unless I am specifically trying to buy something. I have seriously avoided going on like the Instagram selling pages for my community, the Facebook selling pages for my area, or even like the UK in general. I haven't been on those because I know that I get tempted, and so I've just stopped going on those and stopped giving myself baskets full of plants that would be so easy to click buy now. I've stopped doing that. That's what I'm saying. I think my addiction is gone. I think I have somehow managed to get unaddicted. It only took over 200 houseplants, which I don't think is a reasonable number of houseplants, I know, but I don't think I have as much of an addiction now as I used to, because it genuinely was. I feel like maybe not unhealthy, like I could definitely have more unhealthy habits than this, but it wasn't the best thing. I could have been spending my money elsewhere, for sure. So that kind of goes into this next one. I think I'm gonna try and do a sort of one in, one out policy on my plants. I tried with the one in, one out policy. I genuinely have a list in my notes section of my phone and my computer with my ins and outs, everything from up until like the summer. After that, I kind of just stopped. I think I stopped very soon after my conservatory archives haul. I did get to a decent point with my one in, one out, and I think that is definitely something I want to continue doing, so I am paying attention to things. But I definitely gave up on that one a little bit halfway through the year. Probably about halfway through the 6 monthly review video I did on my goals to make sure I was like getting on track, and if I wasn't on track, to get myself back on track. But yeah, as of the middle of the year-ish, I had 62 plants coming in, and that's going from like very, very tiny cuttings and small plants in swaps or that my friends have given me to like big plants and plants that I have bought. And then out, I had 48 plants. So I'd say it's about 3 and 2 out in this time, so it's not 1-to-1, but it's not terrible either. I do think I should have done better and continued on with this, because I think it is a pretty good policy, but 1 in, 1 out is quite hard. I really struggled to keep it even over the course of the year, but maybe in 2024 I'll do better. Who knows? I have filled most spaces in my home at this point. I don't really have much room for more plants. It's another reason why I'm not buying anything at the minute. And so I think I might try to, if I'm bringing in plants, to also get rid of some. I definitely didn't do it like this though. I wasn't like, oh, I've brought in 6, let me get rid of 6 at any point. It was more just paying attention to it a little bit better. I think I could try to do the exact, I've brought in 6, let me get rid of 6, but I don't think that makes complete sense to do. And I mean, it'd probably be smart and like really great if I could do that, but I don't think I can. Is that bad? I don't know, but it's okay that I didn't do that. The fact that I made a list at all is like a step in the right direction, but I don't think I have like, I don't think I've actually succeeded in this goal or resolution at all. Partly, but not fully. It's pretty overwhelming. Like, having this many plants is pretty intense. I've got like, I think I've got 175 potted plants and then propagations in addition to that, and I've got tons of propagations, so I've got like at least 200 plants including propagations. 175, I only have 212, maybe a couple less than that because I did get rid of a couple recently, so 210 plants. So I really only went up 35 plants this year, which is pretty good considering, I think. Maybe it's not, but I think that is pretty good going on my part. But that also kind of goes into another one of my goals, is to be more aware when I'm like losing interest in a specific plant, and instead of letting it get to a point where it is dying because I've stopped caring for it because I don't care about it and like I'm just not feeling it anymore. Instead of doing that, I want to be more aware of it sooner, and like as soon as I start to feel like I'm not enjoying the plant anymore, give it to a friend or sell it. And as long as it's not got pests or anything wrong with it, I think that is perfectly fair. And just trying to be like less wasteful of my plants, because I think that I have done quite well on this. I have really tried not to let plants die due to neglect because I don't like the plant anymore. Yes, I have had some plants die potentially due to neglect, but it wasn't because I didn't like them, it was just because I was maybe not in the greatest spot, maybe I forgot about them, I don't know. But I think I have been a bit more aware of it and able to get rid of those plants sooner before they get to a state where they're not good enough to, you know, pass on and rehome. That being said, I do have a few things in my collection at the minute that I would love to rehome, but because it's winter and so cold, I really don't want to ship them. And I know I could post on like Facebook Marketplace or in those like Facebook groups or something and like get someone local to come get them, but I don't know, it just feels, it feels like a really difficult task in the winter. I feel like I'm so much better about doing this in like spring, summer, and autumn than this time of year. So it's a shame because there's definitely things that I know I would love to put out into the world and get into a better home, but I can't do it right now, which I'm scared that I'm gonna let them die in the meantime, and I really hope that I don't, and that I can hold out until spring and then they can get a new home, or I can reignite my love for them. But yeah, I have gotten much better at that, I think. I do tend to get to a point where if I'm not liking a plant, I'll kind of just stop caring for it, stop making sure that it's getting everything it needs all the time, which isn't necessarily the best thing to do, and I know that. I know I shouldn't do that. And although plants are like technically disposable, I shouldn't think of them like that. I don't want to think about them like that. If I can give a plant to a home that's gonna love it instead of letting it die in my home, like, it makes more sense. I did get rid of a lot of plants to friends this year. I feel like that was the main way of me rehoming them, was shouting out to my plant gals and like Claire and Lisa and stuff, and just saying, does anyone want these? You can either have them for free or like very, very low price. And that's worked really, really well. So if you're struggling with this, I highly recommend finding some plant friends in your area, because it does help. If I'm doing like one in, one out policy, I think I'll have to be a lot more critical about things, as well as like if I'll be more aware of what I'm not enjoying at any point in time. And so there's several plants at the minute that I'm just not feeling, and I'm working on giving them a cull. I can make a video on that if that's something that you want to see. I did a little bit of one during Plant Miss, but I can definitely do more. I have found that making videos like that, where I am just showing plants that I'm no longer loving, or that I'd be perfectly happy rehoming, or I'm struggling with and would like out of my home, really, really, really useful to get them actually out of my home. I know I'm lucky that I have this sort of platform where I can do that, and there's eyes on my videos in the UK where people can be like, ooh, you don't want that, but I do, gimme gimme. More polite than that. But I always received loads of messages after those sorts of videos, and it really helped me rehome plants, and it makes me feel so much better knowing that those plants have good homes. So I think that is something that I am going to continue on doing in the new year, or essentially whenever I feel like I've got a bunch of plants that I want to rehome, which I do at the minute. It's just too cold to mail them. I could get heat packs, but also some of them are bigger than I would want to ship, because I don't have big boxes. I'm limited by postal services, and shipping a big plant, especially if it's not in amazing condition, it could be quite expensive, and I would probably say not worth it, but that's not for me to judge. If someone wants to buy them and pay the shipping, that's on them. But anyways, it's fine. I really liked doing those videos, and I'll probably continue with those, because it did really help with rehoming some plants this year. Anyways, I'm trying to work on getting rid of those and keep only the things that I really, 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 really want to have and love in my collection. And I think that's going to make caring for everything a lot easier as well. I'll be less likely to get plant burnout. I don't think I got plant burnout because of the amount of care that I had to do this year. I think I got a little bit, I don't know if I would call it burnout, but I got a bit where I just didn't do much plant care because I had a lot of pests. But I don't think that was burnout. I think that was avoidance of an issue. So I think it did work. And I think I did avoid plant burnout this year, which is great. If we can carry on with that, that'd be wonderful. But part of that is also because this was my first full year. Oh my god, this was my first full year working for myself on plant YouTube. Guys. Oh my goodness, that's crazy. I've been doing this for like a year and a half now, full time. It feels like just yesterday that I quit my job. Time has freaking flown. But yeah, I think part of it is because that this is my full-time job now. I'm more able to do things in my own time and don't have to work it around my other work. So yeah, that's probably why I didn't get plant burnout. So that's like kind of the main sort of plant spending goals that I have. Like I said, I could set a budget, but I don't think that makes sense for me, especially as plant prices are so like fluctuating. I still agree that budgets aren't for me. Like a specific number budget, like you could only spend £50 each month, that's not gonna work for me. Like I said, because plant prices fluctuate, maybe I will buy a bunch in one month and then none in the next month. Do I get to roll it over? Like, it just gets too complicated. I can't set myself a strict budget like that. I just know that doesn't work for me in my personal finances. It's more just like being aware that works for me. And I think it did this year. If there's something that I really want that ends up being 130 or 150 pounds, I can get that. If it's more, I can get that. I also didn't really buy any really expensive plants this year. I am really proud of myself for being patient in plants, because in general plant prices are dropping. Things are getting less and less expensive. Something that might have been over 100 pounds might have gone down to 60, might have gone down to 40, might have been gone down to 20 in some cases. And so if there's a plant that I know I really want and it's a little bit on the expensive side, I have been waiting. I've been waiting! Like, that's what I did for my Alocasia Mellow. I waited until it was a price that I thought was reasonable. Same with my variegated Frydek. Mostly Alocasias. I feel like Alocasias have been big this year in terms of like coming down in price. So, I mean, it wasn't the cheapest plant still, my variegated Alocasia Frydek, but yeah, I have been patient and I am very proud of myself for that. I'm also considering doing maybe not a no-buy for plant equipment, because I think that's dumb. If I need plant equipment, I need plant equipment. But maybe setting a sort of budget on it. I haven't really decided if that's something I definitely want to do, but I can't believe I spent like twice as much money on plant equipment and like stuff to maintain the collection last year as I did on actual plants. So I didn't end up making a budget for my plant equipment spending. Again, I just tried to be a bit more mindful about it and like really think before I bought things. I did still spend more on equipment than I did on actual plants in 2023, but I honestly think that's a good thing, because I'm placing my money into maintaining the collection rather than growing the collection in numbers. So I feel like I'm not mad at myself for spending more. I didn't spend a whole lot more. I definitely spent less in 2023 than I did in 2022, but that could also be partially because I had the supplies already, and so I didn't need to be buying more expensive grow lights. I didn't need to be buying like more cabinets because I already had them. So I'm not going to be spending $200-300 pounds in a month because I already had the things. So I think it is a bit of a, because I spent so much last year, I didn't need to this year. But also I have been generally a bit more careful with my spending this year and making sure it was something that I really needed and something that I either really wanted to try for a video or my plants desperately needed, like pest treatments, that kind of thing, rather than just buying stuff whatever I want. I should keep an eye on that, because even when I go on a plant ban and I don't allow myself to buy plants, I still allow myself to get plant equipment, because it's like, oh, I need this to take care of my plants. And so I end up spending the money that I would have spent on plants on like equipment that I don't necessarily always need. So I think, I don't know if I'm gonna set a budget or just be more, again, mindful. Main goal for 2023, be mindful of spending, of the money that I'm spending on equipment, because I don't want to, like, it's not a cheap hobby. This is an expensive hobby. I still agree that this is a somewhat expensive hobby, but I've definitely figured out more ways to do it on a budget this year and be more aware of what I'm spending and trying to figure out what I can do with what I already have. Another one of my goals is to dust my plants more. Definitely didn't do that as much as I wanted to. Dusting is just generally one of my least favorite planty tasks. I don't enjoy it. I find it really tedious. I struggle to dust just my home in general. It's like, I'd much rather hoover. Like, why can't you hoover the dust up? Can you hoover the dust up? You can hoover it up if there's like a lot, but like if there's just a thin layer of dust, you need to dust. You can't just hoover. So I think I did really struggle with this one, and maybe that contributed to the pest issues in the middle of the year, but I also didn't want to dust when I had pest issues because I didn't want to spread my pests around. So it's a catch-22. Is that the phrase? Catch-22? Also, now that I've sulfur fungicided everything, everything has sulfur spots on it anyway, so I'm not dusting those. I'm just going to keep reapplying the sulfur until all the pests are gone. Hopefully. Assuming that this whole thing works. So, just not dusting. Still, unfortunately. I am not the best at reminding myself to dust. Like, I know that. And I think if I like properly add it to my morning routine, I know I've showed it in my ideal morning routine and I have gotten better at it. Not since then, like I've kept a bit more on top of it than I normally would have, and I think having the dusting gloves really freaking helps because, oh my god, dusting gloves, little like microfiber gloves, make it so much easier to dust your plants than having like a cloth that you have to do it with. It makes so much of a difference. I do agree that the dusting gloves do really help, but it's one of those things where I put them in a cupboard with my other planty supplies, and so they're not out, and so I don't see them all the time. So I don't do it all the time. I should get better about that. But yeah, unfortunately, I don't think I have. I don't think I have gotten better at this in 2023. Whoops. So I think keeping dusting as part of my morning routine, like my general plant care routine, is going to be something that I definitely want to be doing. Didn't add it to my planty morning routine. I don't really feel like I have a planty morning routine. It really varies from day to day, week to week, month to month, depending on what is just going on in my collection. The only thing that I do fairly regularly on a nearly daily basis is check my moss pools for moisture, and even then I wouldn't even call that a daily task. So I didn't have a daily routine to join it onto. Unfortunately. It'll keep my plants a lot healthier, and I think it'll work towards another goal of mine, which is continuing to keep my collection as pest free as possible. That obviously didn't work. I will say though, I have been generally more aware of the pests that I have been experiencing in my collection. I've known, like when they show up, I have known about them, and in some cases dealt with them immediately, like when I got spider mites on like the office desk. I treated those immediately, got rid of those spider mites so fast, and so I feel like that's worked pretty well. I've also been using the predatory mites throughout the year. I have since paused my subscription purely because they're not going to work with the sulfur fungicide that I'm using at the minute for my entire collection, so it didn't make sense to continue paying for them if they weren't gonna work well with the current treatment situation that's going on. But I am hoping that in 2024 I can resume that once, in theory, I've gotten rid of all the pests. But I do think I have been more on top of it, and when I do notice a pest, I've been reacting faster, but I haven't eradicated all pests from my collection, which I don't even know if that's a reasonable goal with a collection this big. Like, I feel like I'm probably just going to have pests in some form or another, but ideally I wouldn't. If I can possibly get to a place where I don't have any, that would be heavenly. I would love that. I don't think I can eliminate all pests ever, because I don't think that's a reasonable task or goal, but trying to be more on top of pest control is something that is reasonable to do, and I think I can do so, and dusting a lot will help me achieve that. Dusting a lot did not help me achieve that because I didn't dust, but I do think I was more generally on top of things when it came to pests. It's one of those things where it's just best to dust your plants, and I want to stay on top of it. That is like a really important goal of mine this year, and keep the pests at bay because we don't need them. We don't need them. We still don't need them. We have them, but we don't need them. I'm going to pot up my Hoya Pollinate Broget that I got from the plant swap. They're very rooted. I've just had them in water. I'm so sad I lost those. I want more. I love my Pollinate so much. I still love my big one, even though it might still have flat mites. I don't think it does, but it might. But I was really sad to lose these this year. But those are kind of like my main general goals for collecting generally. That sounds weird, but you get what I mean, right? I think that those as my main general goals was really, really good. And I think I did a pretty good job on them generally. Aside from the dusting one, I feel like I maybe not accomplished fully, but took good steps in the direction that my goals were pushing me in, which is like being more aware and on top of things in general. But now we're gonna get into some like very plant specific goals that I was trying to accomplish. One of which I have spoken about quite a lot is that I want to like really get a handle on like peperomia as well as cacti and succulents. I still think that I have done quite well on this task. Starting out with peperomia, I have gotten so many in 2023, and a lot of them have been from like single leaf propagations. And I feel like I've kind of honed my propagation process with a lot of peperomias. So I've been able to properly add them to my collection and have them grow. I'm still learning with them and still figuring things out, but I generally feel like I have gotten a great handle on them. I also feel like I have done great things with my cacti and succulents ever since I turned my Redsta cabinet into my cacti and succulent cabinet. I have seen such great growth on a lot of them. Not all of them, some of them are just generally slow plants and I'm probably not going to notice growth in them, but there are some that I have seen quite significant growth in and I am really proud of them. And I haven't really lost any or many to my own, like due to my own maltreatment of them. I have been able to keep most of them alive and well this year, and I am pretty freaking proud of that. I never thought that cacti and succulents were going to be my thing. I always thought that they were just too hard for me. I couldn't take care of them. I couldn't keep them alive. But 2023, I have really not mastered it. I don't think it's a mastered thing at all. I think I still have a lot to learn, but I feel like I've got a really good handle on them now and I'm able to keep them alive. So it kind of opens up a whole new realm of planting for me, which is super duper exciting. There's some like really amazing plants out there that I've kind of just closed myself off from because I didn't feel like I knew how to take care of them, which is fair. I think that is the like smart thing to do, but I think at the same time I also want to expand my knowledge and work harder at learning something that I've previously like just dismissed as something that I can't do. I'm so glad I've been able to open myself up to these plants. Like, it's literally a whole new world of cool things that I have the abilities now to take care of. It's so exciting because I feel like I've gotten really good at like sort of aeroids and monsteras and philodendrons and anthuriums. Those just work for me in my home. I feel like I've got a good handle on those, and so I think I'm at a point where I want to push myself further to learn and grow as a plant player. Pun fully intended. I'm just really proud of myself for actually expanding my knowledge this year and expanding my skill set and making it work, because I mean that is why my catchphrase is keep growing. That's why I have it on the merch I make, because my goal in life in general is to keep growing, keep learning, keep expanding my skills, and my ability to do that with Peperomia and Cacti and Succulents this year has, like, it makes me so proud of myself because I know it's not easy. It is effort to go out and learn new skills and try things that you're not necessarily good at, and it is scary, but I think it's so important, and I'm really proud of myself for pushing through it, and even if something didn't work, trying again and figuring out how to make it work next time. So yeah, I am really pleased with myself on that one. I'll have to have a think about what I want to expand my knowledge into in 2024. So if you have any ideas for me, what you want me to push towards in 2024 with like plants that I've previously said no to, or I just don't think I would be good at, or you just want to see from me, let me know what they are down below in the comments, and I can see if I want to add that to my 2024 resolutions. Which plant sector should I go into next? Exciting. Very exciting. Now, another thing that I wanted to learn and try my hand at this year is pollinating Anthuriums. I have started to try to pollinate Anthuriums with my Crystallinum and Forgetii White Stripe that were both inflorescing at the same time. I've attempted to pollinate them. I don't know if it will work or not. It worked, I think 9 months after I pollinated them, I think in December in 2022. I was able to harvest the berries of my Anthuriums, which was so exciting, or my one Anthurium. It was male Forgetii White Stripe on the female Crystallinum. And so I've got some Forgetii White Stripe Crystallinum babies going on in my cupboard. I currently have them in some damp sphagnum moss. Unfortunately, the ones that I tried on a wet paper towel, those just did not work out. But I do have some in some damp sphagnum that I think will. I'm hoping. They haven't rotted yet, which is good, because the ones in the wet paper towel, those just went moldy so fast. So the fact that these ones aren't going moldy and I think are developing roots, hopefully I can get them to grow into some beautiful plants in 2024. I'm really proud of myself for successfully pollinating my Anthuriums, having berries grow, harvest them, and start to get them to like properly grow. That is crazy, and I'm really proud of myself for facilitating that. I didn't really do much, but also it's good to be patient because it takes a freaking long time for berries to develop on Anthuriums. I didn't quite realize how long it was going to take, but 9 months. It's like a human baby. My little Anthurium babies took 9 months as well. It's never really been something that I really cared about doing previously. It was never like, I always used to cut them off. I think partially it was because my Anthuriums were quite small and I didn't think that they were ready to like flower or pollinate, and I didn't want the plant wasting energy on like producing a flower because it didn't need to do that. I am not sure though if I would want to do it again. Like I said, I wasn't really keen on doing it before. I don't know if I'm keen on doing it again now. I think it would really depend on if I had blooms at similar times. I'm not that keen on collecting pollen to like store and then pollinate later. I think if I were to pollinate again, it would just be due to circumstance. If I see two starting to go at similar times, hopefully being able to pollinate them like that. But otherwise, I'm probably just going to be cutting off most of the flowers, unless it's a combo that I really want. But I'm not like, not that I don't care about Anthurium hybrids, it's just like not my main thing. I'm perfectly happy with like Anthurium non-hybrids at the minute, at least. I think that is something that I would really love to be able to do, is like actually get an Anthurium to grow berries and then collect berries and then grow a plant. Check from the seeds / berries of an Anthurium. That is something that I think would be really fun to be able to do, and just like I said, further my plant parent skills and try something that I've not done before. Another specific goal that I have for a specific plant is to size up my big Monstera. That's not happened. You can see it's there. I have chopped and propped it because it got too tall for the pole, but it has not sized up at all, which is kind of sad. I did get Pests early in the year, but I do still really want a massive Monstera, and I would love to be able to size that one up if I can, but yeah, that's not happened. And I don't know if it's a me problem or like the Monstera isn't like a large form problem, but part of me just wants to buy a giant Monstera still. I would love to do that. I don't think I have space for it, but oh my god, just having a huge one with the leaves like this big, that would be amazing. So maybe that's a purchase for if we have a new home ever, because I don't think we could fit one in this flat. I got that Monstera, probably like September, October time, because it's big and beautiful and I love it. And I really missed my big Monstera once I gave it away. I didn't miss that one, but I missed having one. I still don't miss that old Monstera that I had, but I am glad that I have this one because I do think it is pretty still. I think they're nice plants. Anyways. And so I got a new one from House of Kojo, and it does have quite large leaves and even some secondary fenestrations. So hopefully I can get those to keep growing. The last leaf it put out doesn't have secondary fenestrations. I think it might be just because it's still adjusting to my home and it's not getting tons and tons and tons of light where it is, but it's fine. So it has been moved to a place with more light. Normally when it's not dark outside, this spot does get quite a lot of light, hence why my bird of paradise is here. It does get hours of afternoon sun, which is awesome. So I'm hoping that it will like this space a little bit better, because up until June I did have it a bit too far away, I think, from the window where it wasn't getting great light. So I think that might have been why it didn't size up as much as I would have wanted it to, but it's something I can still work on going forward. We'll see. I want to try and get the secondary fenestration back and like maybe size it up even further. So I have put it on a moss pole so far and it is getting grow light, but got my fingers crossed that I can grow like a nice really big beautiful Monstera, because I want to have a huge one so freaking badly. And then my last plant specific goal is to get my Hoyas to bloom. That is something that I've wanted for literally years now, and I've never actually had a Hoya bloom. I did that this year. My Hoyas bloomed. I don't know if I did it or they did it or what, but I got my very first Hoya blooms this year, and it has been such an amazing thing to watch. I have loved watching my Hoyas bloom. I've had several different types bloom actually. So the first ones that I ever got were my Hoya Coroniana Splash, and suddenly it was just like, whoa, there's flowers on this one. I got 2 peduncles. One of them was just open. Like, I found it once it was open, which was crazy. And then the other one I was able to film a time lapse of, which I'm obsessed with. I think the time lapses of Hoyas popping open is so much fun. So I really, really loved that one. I also think it smells amazing. Like, a little bit sickly sweet, but as like a room smell in like the tiny corner of my desk, it was perfect. I really enjoyed it. I wouldn't wear it as a perfume all day, but I really liked the smell of those. So that one was super fun. The next ones that I got were my Hoya Rosita, which looked fairly similar, but like more fuzzy and like bright reddy purple color, which was awesome. And then my Pollinate bloomed recently, which I think has some of the coolest blooms. They're like shooting stars almost, with like orange backs and red fronts. They really remind me of shooting stars. I think they're so cool. And then the last one that bloomed for me this year was my Retusa, which I was not expecting at all. And the Retusa blooms are special because instead of blooming in like a burst of several flowers, they bloom like one flower at a time here and there, which makes it very different than a lot of other Hoyas. And I think I got 2 or 3 blooms on that one. So I loved watching my Hoyas bloom this year, and I'm hoping that I can get more to bloom in the next year. Like, I really get why people buy some Hoyas just for their blooms now, because it is really cool to have nice blooms. Though, because they're not blooming all year, I probably won't buy Hoyas specifically for their blooms, but I do get it now. I understand, and I love it. I love Hoyas even more now than I did before because of their blooms. And I know I kind of just got into Hoya like in a big way sort of in 2022, and I got a bunch of smaller Hoyas, so I know like they're not mature enough necessarily to bloom, but I do have some that are a bit bigger. Looking back on it though, I also think it could have been that they were just acclimating for the first year. The first year in my home, they weren't going to bloom because they weren't used to it, and so it took them a little bit to get used to it and then pop out blooms. So maybe some of the ones that I got later in 2022 or in 2023, I will be blooming in 2024. Let's hope. I will always be sharing my Hoya blooms with you because I think they are absolutely fantastic. But yeah, one of the highlights of my year this year for sure was getting to watch so many different Hoyas bloom. It was absolutely phenomenal. Especially like this one, my Crimson Princess, which I propagated from like 2 or 3 tiny cuttings. I would absolutely love to get those to bloom this year because I don't know, I've never had it before, and I think it's gonna make me feel like an extra proud plant mom. My Crimson Princess still hasn't bloomed. I think partially because it has been grown from cuttings. It might take a couple extra years to get in there and get mature enough to bloom. But yeah, that can still be a goal going forward, is to get that one specifically to bloom, because I think it would be cool if it did. But I will have the patience. It will bloom when it's ready. I just want to experience it for myself and have the opportunity to have some beautiful Hoya blooms. Check. So yeah, I know I do have some of my Hoyas have peduncles, but I think the main one that I would really love to bloom one day, I really want this princess to bloom one day. Like, if I can get that to happen this year, I will. I am going to stress them out in spring. I didn't stress them out in spring, I should say as well. I just carried on watering as normal, because I didn't want them to be death blooms. I wanted them to be like life blooms, happy blooms, rather than I'm going to die, so I'm going to spray my seed as best as possible blooms. Because you can get plants to bloom like that. I don't think that any of the ones that I got this year are death blooms, but it can happen, so just be aware of that. I just didn't want to stress my plants out. I feel like that's actually kind of mean. Like, they're just plants, so like it's not the worst thing in the world, but I wouldn't want to do that. I don't blame people for doing it, but I don't want to do that with my collection, and I didn't do it with my collection in the end. So yeah, those were all of my plant goals for 2023. I feel like in general I did pretty freaking well. I think I've just in general been more on top of things this year, and maybe it is because I set myself the task of being mindful about it. I genuinely feel like I was mindful about it. And even though I did have some struggles with pests, once I decided what I was going to do on that front and actually like got my butt in gear, I feel like I have taken the steps to make sure that things stay as happy and healthy as possible, and I've been able to experience some really cool things this year with my plants. So I think I've done a pretty good job. I'm definitely not mad at myself. There's, of course, things I can still improve on, and I will continue to try and keep improving myself. I think that's a good goal for life. But yeah, I'm pretty proud of how I did in 2023. So yeah. That is it. That is me reflecting on my 2023. I cannot believe that the year is over and it has just gone by so fast. I would love to hear about your goals, whether or not you accomplished them, whether or not you're proud of how you did as a plant parent this year. Put it down below in the comments and we can be proud of you together, or help encourage and nudge you to better things next year if that's what needs to happen. I do also want to say a huge thank you to all of you who have been here throughout 2023 and watched my videos this year. It has been an absolutely surreal year for me, and I've absolutely loved it. I've loved my first full year of working as a plant-fluencer. I hate that word, but it's what I am. I'm a plant-fluencer. I accept it. It's what I am. But yeah, thank you all so much for being here. I really couldn't be here without you and do what I do without you taking the time to watch my videos and engage and message me and give me advice and let me give my plants to you or sell them to you when I don't want them anymore. So yeah, thank you all so much. I hope you have a brilliant New Year's, and I can't wait to see what 2024 brings. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up down below and leave a comment on other houseplanty things you'd like me to talk about in the future. If you'd like me to expand on any of these in 2024, should I keep trying for some of these goals in 2024? Let me know, or just judge me down below. Do you think I did a good job? I don't know. Also, subscribe for more lovely planty content. Again, thank you so much for being here and watching this video. I will see you in the next one in 2024, baby. Happy New Year. Don't forget to keep growing. Bye.